Horrifying details emerged yesterday regarding a lawsuit that has been filed against Bills rookie punter Matt Araiza and two others who, with Araiza, were playing for San Diego State last year. The allegation is gang rape of a 17-year-old girl. The LA Times had the story. The details, as I said, are horrifying. The reality is, and it's unfortunate, but this is the way it works. Because it happened before Araiza was drafted by the Bills, the NFL can do nothing about it whatsoever under the personal conduct policy. Now, if he would ever get in trouble under the personal conduct policy in the future, you could have expedited or enhanced punishment because of this. And obviously, there's a criminal investigation happening. He could go to jail. Then it wouldn't matter if the personal conduct policy applies. And it also doesn't matter if the Bills decide this guy plays a position that hundreds of guys can fill. And it's not like we're going to be a punt machine this year anyway. I know that he's kind of a fan favorite, and he had an 82-yard punt in a preseason game, and I guess it's good to have a good punter instead of a bad one, but there's plenty who can just do the job well enough. Do you really want, if you're the Bills, to have this tied to your team? It's a tough call because he's entitled to due process. He's entitled to the presumption of innocence, but good Lord, these allegations are horrifying. And if I was the Bills, if I was the NFL, I would want to get to the point very quickly where I have a feeling, a reliable gut feeling, whether or not this guy may be responsible for what he's accused of. Because if he is, see you later, Matt Araiza, you can't work here.
Yeah, and Mike, the Bills said in their statement they were recently made aware of these allegations. But according to reporting that came out of Buffalo, multiple reporters said the lawyer notified the Bills at the end of July. That, to me, is not recent. That is a month ago. That means the Bills knew when they made the transaction last week to move on from Matt Hawk that Araiza was going to be their guy. And they knew what these allegations were, and they knew that they probably were going to come out at some point, and they were prepared for that. So they made their decision knowing what was out there already, Mike. Now, maybe they didn't do a thorough investigation, but they knew enough to make a educated decision to keep him and move on from Matt Hawk.
They made their decision when they used a sixth-round pick on him, though. This wasn't a real punting competition. Yeah. He was going to be the guy. The moment you draft a punter or a kicker, he's your guy unless he is an absolute disaster in training camp in the preseason. And obviously, this guy wasn't. The question is, what did they know before they drafted him? What did the NFL know about this? It would have been very easy to not draft him, not sign him, not look his way if you think there's any chance he's connected to this. Now, look, people get wrongfully accused all the time. I get it. And I don't like it when we say, oh, it's a shakedown. It's a money grab. We're already hearing that from Araiza's lawyer. It's always a money grab until it isn't. It's always a shakedown until there's merit to the allegation and settlements are being paid and justice is being meted out against the people who are accused of wrongdoing. Everyone says it. It's a frivolous lawsuit. It's a shakedown. It's a money grab. Anybody who has any money can say that if they're being held responsible for the things they've done. I don't know what happened here, but it needs to be investigated by the relevant authorities, criminal and civil, and the Bills need to care about this. Look, there's a great vibe around the Bills right now, and it puts the fans in a tough spot. It's just like Browns fans. They were put in a tough spot when the team traded for Deshaun Watson, brought him under the Browns umbrella. Fans need to support him, and I think Bills fans are going to feel conflicted about this. But it's one thing to support a franchise quarterback. It's another thing to support a punter when punters come and go all the time. And when you've got a team that isn't going to need a punter very much this year because the offense is going to kick ass and score points, I could see Bills fans. I have faith in the inherent goodness of everyone. I could see Bills fans look at this saying, I'm sorry, we can't stand by. If there's any potential merit to this, we can't tolerate it. The allegations are too horrifying. This isn't a guy getting a massage and trying to engineer a sexual encounter. This is an allegation that Matt Araiza and two others gang raped a 17-year-old girl who basically was unconscious or semi-conscious because of alcohol or other substances that she'd consumed. So this is as bad as it gets, folks. And the Bills need to be concerned. The NFL needs to be concerned. And even though the NFL can't do anything about it under the personal conduct policy, there are ways that things can happen behind the scenes. For somebody at 345 Park Avenue to get Terry Pagula on the line and say, hey, man, look, your team is in 13 days playing in L.A., first game of the year. Does it really help anyone to have Matt Araiza on the football field if there's any chance that this is true? And it's a tough balance. I understand innocent until proven guilty. But the NFL's got the resources, I think, to get to the point where they can make a reasonable conclusion between now and September 8th. And if they can make a reasonable conclusion, fair, reasonable, objective, proper conclusion, if they think this guy may have done it, I don't see how he's on that roster when the NFL season kicks off 13 days from today, Charean.
Yeah, and you're right, Mike. You go back to the draft, and according to all the reports yesterday, the Bills didn't know about this. And I'm just curious why the NFL and the Bills didn't know about this. They should have known about it. It would seem like a relatively easy thing to find out if you go talk to the right people if you're interested in drafting this guy. I know this. The NFL and its teams talk a lot about women. And they talk about them and how important they are, and they put out statements when something happens and all those sorts of things. But I don't see the action. I think they care about women's money and the commitment that women make with the pocketbook. But what I've seen from the NFL, I haven't seen those actions to say we really do care. This is another, I think, example of that. And you're right. The NFL can't do anything on the surface of it, but they can tell the Bills, look, you need to do the right thing here and move on from this guy. He's not worth it.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.